We are back with a new season. This season of Non-Judgmental is in collaboration with Resonate Wellness. The space has always been about slowing down, conversations around mental health, no fixing, no rushing, no judgment. So, welcome or welcome back to Non-Judgmental. Today's conversation felt like the right way to begin the season. Joining me is Vaishnavi, founder of Resonate Wellness. She holds a master's degree in psychology from TISS and has over 6 years of experience working in the mental health. But what stands out most about Vaishnavi's work is not just her training, it's the way she centers lived experiences and creates safety in conversations. Welcome to the podcast, Vaishnavi.
Thank you, Uncle.
Vaishnavi, I want to simply start when you think about your life right now, how would you describe your relationship with yourself?
Improving is what I would say around. But then there's also been a point, where I realized that I was showing up for everyone else in ways I never showed up for myself. And it was not like I hated myself or you know, did not hate myself. It was just that I did not know how to stay with myself when things got hard. And, so it also used to be like I would be tough on myself, thinking that it would make me better, right? But the truth is that I confused self criticism with self discipline for a very long time. So, yeah, I would say it's improving right now.
That's great. When people hear relationship with self, they often think it's abstract. How do you understand it in everyday terms?
It's very simple. It's how the tone we use internally. That's how defines your relationship with yourself. You know, the way we respond to our mistakes,
Right.
whether we abandon ourselves emotionally or we stay with ourselves.
Hmm.
Say, if someone is going through something, you would be naturally kinder and tell them that it's okay. But if you found yourself in the same situation, you would beat up yourself, be like, how could I do this?
Right.
So that's the tone we take around. So a lot of times, the way we speak about ourselves or we sound to ourselves, it's like more on the lines of the past and not the truth. So
Right.
when we define the relationship with ourselves, it's always the tone we use internally, the tone we use to motivate ourselves. Not even motivate ourselves, but in general. So if you would say somebody it's okay, you should be able to say to yourself also that it's okay.
Absolutely. How does it show up during difficult moments?
So when we talk of, how does it show up in difficult moments? It's always the inner critic dialogue we always have, right? कि शायद मेरे में ही कुछ कमी रह गई होगी या
Uh,
शायद
yeah. Right.
but instead of using those statements, how would it make you sound if you use कि ठीक है, it's okay, I have been through that, but then I have also learned about myself this,
Right.
right? Say, for example, if you are a student, right, and there's an exam coming up, and your friend does not score as well as you would always tell that friend of yours, right? It's okay. You can do it. You have the next exam that you can do it.
Right.
But if you score less for yourself, how would you do that?
I would never do that. I would be पढ़ लेता हूँ और किसने बोला था call me baby.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it shows up that way. So for a
Right.
lot of times, kindness towards self was never modeled to us. So being
Hmm.
hard on ourselves always felt familiar to us because it also makes us feel responsible.
Right.
So, you do not abandon yourself very loudly. It's not like, कि आज से मैं अपने आप को नहीं देखूंगा. It's not that. It's very quiet. It's very subtle ways that you do it, which shapes us into a longer run. And that's where we know, कि, oh, this is something. It is, just by ignoring your own needs.
Right.
That's how it shows up.
Right. Also, this reminds me of a small example that I would like to put here when it comes to difficult moments. How does it? Yeah, you gave a perfect example. If we wouldn't score it right, we would be kinder towards our friends. Like, it's okay, maybe you can do better at the next exam. But when it is us who have not performed, we would go all about, if I would have, like, if I know myself before, like the pehle or during my school, I would lock myself. I would not even dare to talk. I was like, oh, you don't deserve to watch TV now. Go sit. And so, yeah, it makes sense.
What if, back then when you were locking yourself up, or, when you was be like, oh, you don't did not deserve TV, how would it sound like? It's okay, you would do better next time. As simple as
Yeah.
that. That's
Yeah, I
being
just
kind to yourself.
right. Now it totally makes sense what actually it means to, you know, be kind to yourself. Yeah, I am sure if you ask me this question currently, I am kinder to myself than what I was before. Also, how early do you think this relationship with ourselves begins to form?
It starts from the first day, like, when you get to know around it, right? So it's always around. So I have always been a believer that, kids learn from observational learning a lot
Hmm.
of times. And there are a lot of researchers which suggest that as well, right?
Right.
That, kids learn through observational learning. So if you see somebody is an elder who's kinder to themselves, the kid would automatically learn and would develop more kinder nature, or would know what is going on, or more on the reflective end. But if you always
Right.
see somebody who is not being kinder and hard on themselves, so that's what we model. So how you also brought up in your experience, right, that you would lock yourself up, or you would you know say that you do not deserve to watch TV. So somewhere you have also learned that from
Yeah.
your elders around. I'm not blaming them, right? It's not a blame, but we all have, the coping mechanisms we all fall into,
Right.
right? So that's the best we know, but that we could do in action. But what we do in action may not result be in, us being an empathetic or a kinder person. For that, we need to start consciously building. So, it starts at an early age, but I always feel, ki whenever you realize, you can start being kind to yourself. If I have to put it
Right.
in a very comical way, it's like jab jago tab savera.
Right. And in your experience, what do people usually mistake for self-discipline that is actually self-criticism?
So rest, we always feel like rest is laziness, but we do not usually understand how tired we are a lot of times, right? We keep waiting to feel worthy enough to be kind to ourselves,
Yeah, kind
right?
of a, sorry to cut you off. I just want, like, kind of a reward system. Like, तुमने ये कर लिया तो then you can do this. Only then you can,
Exactly,
yeah,
right? But you're always worthy of kindness, is what I would say.
right.
It is, so it's not starts with, confidence. It starts with listening.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I've always said this into my sessions as well, that healing is something that did not start with confidence. It starts with listening to yourself.
Right.
Once you start listening to your own needs, to your own things around, that's where actually healing starts.
Absolutely. I mean, listening is one of the great qualities one can have when it comes to, to start with themselves and to listen to their needs. A lot of people listening might recognize being hard on themselves. How do you help someone understand that this wasn't a personal failure, but a learned way of surviving?
So if, you know, I have to again get an example here. So it's like a lot of things we think that, we need to fix the problem. It's
Right.
the always the fixing attitude we have,
Hmm.
right? In your case, like taking up, I'm sorry, I'm taking that example again and again,
That's
but
fine.
right. But if you could have been like, how you said, okay, I would not watch TV. So you thought watching TV was the result for the bad marks you scored around. So you thought that could fix the bad marks or the poor
Right.
score, right? But what if you have understood that, okay, there are certain subjects that would have been your strength and certain that you would want to work on, that could have been an old different genre,
Right.
right? So it's like, we always think that we need fixing about something. But it just turns out that, we need some understanding
Right.
of things, right? And learning to trust ourselves is also a lot of times learning to sit with discomfort without being cruel.
Hmm.
So whenever we are into a discomfort, we usually go on to the cruel end, right? If you do not make it to something, you'd be like, oh, I am such a this person. But then there's something other that could be waiting for you, which could be something very beautiful if you understand,
Absolutely.
right? So, yeah.
Also, I feel there could be anything like there could be things related to oneself to be taught in schools, at least at the growing kids, at least they should have this. It should be mandatory for each and everyone to learn. Because I
Mm-hmm.
just realized if I would have been a little more kinder, not just forcing myself, rather than, I mean, you put it a right way, rather than just not allowing myself to watch TV, rather than thinking this is the problem, I could have understood the strength and weaknesses and I would have worked a little more harder on my weaknesses.
Right.
I guess I wish, not guess, I wish someone would have taught me back then I'm sure life would have been much more easier.
Of course. But now that we know and we have resources available, why not utilize it?
Definitely. Also, in your own journey or in your work, is there usually a moment when people realize they're not broken, they're exhausted?
There are a lot of times when, we work onto ourselves or the relationship with ourselves. That's when we reflect a lot, be it me as a person or be it me as a professional. So I have seen a lot of clients, when they come around and they feel like, okay, I need to fix this. But then when we start working around, we realize it was not the fixing that we needed. It was just a basic understanding or a basic, giving ourselves what we need, listening to ourselves,
Right.
right? So, yeah. So it's like, some days staying is the bravest thing you could do.
Absolutely. Also, what shifts for someone when they land this realization that they are not broken, but they are just exhausted?
A lot of shift happens and you do not see rest as laziness in the first place. You value your rest, right? Your relationship with yourself changes once you realize that, oh, how exhausting it could be to not be in touch with yourself. So that's a whole relationship shift with yourself that we see. And that also has a ripple effect around, right? Onto
Hmm.
your other relationships, be it professional, personal, be it the communication you make, be it the choices you make into your life.
Right.
Right? So for a very basic example, right? If how everybody says that waking up at 5 a.m. is the best thing you could do. I agree.
Hmm.
I am not here to disagree about it. There is a science backing to it that yes, it is. But what if somebody sleeps at 2 a.m.,
Yeah,
right? There's a lot of work culture shift around.
absolutely.
Right. It's not just that, okay, it's personal or you're watching Netflix or anything, but then there are people out there who are working into the night shifts and all of that. How
Yeah,
would you say that? And that's kind of a pressure we are adding that I would sleep at 2 and wake up at 5. Why? Right. So we can make those small changes around to being kinder to ourselves.
right. Also, we often talk about healing as improvement or fixing, but what does repair actually look like in a relationship with oneself?
It's not a destination, Ankush, that we are talking about. It's a journey.
Right.
Right? It's just that all I'll say is it's a journey. Your relationship with yourself is a journey and not a destination. You can't have an end goal. Ki, okay, this is something and I have the sorted relationship with myself. You learn every day. And
Right.
relationships are work every day. Be it with yourself or be it with others. It's a work every day. Right? And it's like I said, it's not a destination, but it's also very flourishing for yourself.
Right. Also, when we see the relationship that we have with one reflects how we are. I mean, it reflects in our day to day life, not necessarily just in relationship,
Mm-hmm.
personal or professional. You rightly said it, but also I think people still have a lot of mistake. They've thought this very wrong that just because you are into the healing journey, it's just like in like 6 months I'm healed enough, but not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily. You can just heal yourself. I mean, the timeline is not defined here, but
Mm-hmm.
what gets through it is you are improving, you are seeing yourself, you are understanding your emotions a lot more better than what you were. And slowly and steadily is when you start to, realize things that used to bother you will not bother you anymore, because you know how do you channelize your energies or emotional, your feelings, thoughts, anything.
Right. I always say this, Ankush, that healing starts when you stop demanding the change and
Right,
start offering compassion to yourself. That's where the healing begins, and that's how the journey also of healing looks like. When you say, okay, I need to fix this, then that's a fixing attitude. Where's the healing there?
right.
As simple as that. When you get hurt, right? When you fall and you get hurt physically also, right?
Hmm.
You could put a band-aid so that it doesn't hurt, right? But
Right.
it would take those, time to heal, to get that
Absolutely.
skin
Yes.
back. And so is
Yes.
with your heart. So how is that wrong? And why does that need a timeline? When you do not put it on your bodily wounds, why would you put it on your emotional wounds or your emotional needs?
Right. There's also a strong belief that growth has to be heard meaningfully. How do you challenge that idea without invalidating people's pain?
Growth doesn't have to be hard, right?
Yeah.
Of course, we are taught that way that growth is always hard. But
Right.
growth can also be kind, right? It's a very simple statement that you could say and tell to yourself that it's okay and believe in it, right?
Right.
All of us who are listening to this might have gone through something or the other and they've got it back again on their feet, right?
Right.
So, what would happen now? So, even if you tell them that it's okay, how hard is that, right?
Yeah.
Just telling yourself it's okay. So,
Yeah.
growth does
Just
not have to look very hard. It can be kind too,
yeah.
right? It can be
Also,
simpler too.
yeah. I mean, it doesn't take a lot just to tell yourself that, okay, I've got this. Let's see. Just
As
yeah.
simple.
How does a relationship of a person who has a healthy relationship with oneself
Mm-hmm.
looks like in a relationship? Like, I hope this makes sense.
You mean relationship with others?
Yes.
All right. So, a person who has a decent relationship or who is in touch with oneself and is being kinder to oneself, it shows into a lot of ways. They know how to clearly communicate about it, about their
Right.
needs, about their triggers, about things around. And I'm not saying in a very blaming way. They would be
Hmm.
able to communicate it in a very non threatening way or not blaming way around, right?
Right.
There are less conflicts around. When you have a good relationship with yourself, there are peace. So, you know, that's how it looks around. They look very content. They know what they're seeking around. So there's a lot of self-awareness that comes around. So usually you do not end up the first thing you see around, but you know what you're seeking around. You know the purposes of it. You know the intentions around relationships with others that you're building. So yeah, there
Right.
are a lot of ways that it shows into your interpersonal relationships as well.
Right. Also, I feel when you have a decent relationship with yourself, or you clearly communicate, you set your boundaries, you know what you want, you know what you don't want. That exactly shows that you will not create a problem for others as well. Like there's no betrayal, or there's no like I higher chances. I don't want to just generalize this to everybody, but I have realized when you are in touch with yourself, when you are kinder, when you know yourself a little better, you know what you really want. And so you basically try to communicate everything. You know what you're doing. You also tend to understand what you're doing is right or wrong from the other person's perspective as well. So I'm sure you would not take any of that step to hurt the other person, irrespective of what relation you share. I mean,
Agreed.
knowingly
You
you
would be
won't.
also mindful about what you're talking about, not just how to communicate your needs, but you would be also open to seeking what others needs as well into
Exactly.
your relationship, right? And then we can work around it together, right?
Yeah, that sounds like more of a mature relationship, irrespective of whosoever it is. It sounds more mature and more understanding and more kinder towards each other.
Right.
I
So
wish
it's
people
that's how
understand that. I wish that comes in my way someday. Okay.
it will. It will.
I
right?
am being kind
Everybody
enough. I
has.
just want people to be kind towards me.
Mm-hmm.
I am being kind enough. I am being the bigger one, understanding. I mean, I'm not doing it on purpose. Like, oh, I have
Mm-hmm.
to, just because I'm kind, I have to understand every time. No, not in that sense. But at the end of the day, I feel like, it's okay, fine. Chalo, theek hai.
Mm-hmm. I know. I get it. Right? But then it's just how, you see yourself. Like, I don't know if I've said this, but, that your self-love also did not begin with confidence. It begins with listening to yourself.
This kind of is taking me to a flashback. Like, I don't know from where did I started listening to myself, but I always allowed myself to feel whatever I was
And
feeling.
that's a beautiful thing you could do, right?
Right.
It's
I
like
didn't
it's
try
not a
to,
permission to, feel what you're feeling. You're a human. You should feel everything, right? That's why there are
yeah,
so many emotions that we work around,
absolutely. I
right?
mean, for me, it didn't feel like, oh, why am I feeling sad? I just need to, show up myself somewhere, XYZ. But I never did that. I never forced myself, like, "Oh, get up and go do this." I'm like, ha, theek hai. I just feel like lying down. I'll do that and do nothing.
Right. I know. And that's beautiful how you, expressed it. I hope it's working wonders for you.
It is. Because now I feel I have understood. I listen to my needs. I be little kinder. I allow myself to feel what I'm feeling. I don't push through. I'm like, earlier, it took me a lot of time, but now it is more easier for me to channelize my energy to understand what is triggering me and what am I supposed to do. Allow. So, yeah, I hope you get that.
I do. I do. It sounds so beautiful to me. And now, like you're expressing as well. So you would see the differences you have around your relationships as well, and how the dynamics might have changed around, how your relationships might have grown around. And it's a very simple change you did. It's not
Yeah,
something huge that you did around also. So the
it,
change within oneself. So the easiest way to repair any relationship is that you repair your relationships with yourself. That's it.
right,
That's when you would see the changes happening. A lot of time we, look for reassurances in other people.
right.
But what we need is a reassurance from ourselves. Our inner would
So,
be screaming, we need reassurance from you, not the world.
right. Also, when you spoke about how dynamically my relationship with others have changed and it has reflected in a way, now I feel a few of them understand me a lot more better than what it was. I can communicate, okay, this is something that is triggering, or this is something that I really don't like. So I would expect you would not do anything of that sort, or just communicating. And maybe I have become a little better in handling my relationships with anybody. So yeah,
Right.
I mean, that feels great. That feels sort of liberating, that okay, I've done a great job. But I was not,
Mm-hmm.
honestly speaking, I was never pushed or I was never told to be kind to yourself. I don't know for what. Maybe I was more active when it comes to mental health, because I realized that, okay, there is something not working, there is something that is triggering. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
that made me understand a little more, and maybe this is how I have coped up
Mm-hmm.
with things.
I know. A lot of times we do not realize that when we sit with the kindness to ourselves, it just happens. And once you see the difference, you start keep doing it. Right? Like I
Right,
said, the easiest way if you want to work out things for you into a relationship or anything, start working on a relationship with yourself. And you would see how changes occur. Because repairing the relationship with yourself is the easiest task. Trust me when I say that. It might seem difficult when we talk around, but when we start working around it, it's the easiest. And you feel really, because in that case, you're internally working on yourself, right? So it does reflect
right,
on the outside. So if your emotions are healthier inside, your emotions are healthier outside.
right.
So yeah,
Also, as we close, if someone listening takes just one thing from this conversation, what would you want it to be?
just one thing. Do not wait or, to feel worthy enough. There's nothing of that sort. Just start feeling right now. You do not have to be worthy to feel or to be kind to yourself. You've already
Right,
done it, and that's an good enough thing. Just be kind to yourself. You do not have to wait, okay, until I do this, this is what I would offer my kindness to. Just be there for yourself. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Vaishnavi, for opening this season with so much of honesty. And to everyone listening, welcome to the season of Non-Judgmental in collaboration with Resonate Wellness.